hands that it isn't immediately weaponized against us. And I'll say this, it is clear from my experience and what I've seen that there is something out there. The question is it ours? Is it someone else's? Or is it otherworldly? And Madam Chairman, I would posit that as the legislative body, as the regulatory body, we must know. And anyone who prevents us from gaining access to that information, I would consider that criminality. Because we have U.S. personnel who may very well be in harm's way. We have technology that ultimately may threaten our very existence. With that, Madam Chairman, I thank you for your indulgence, and I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Ogles. And with that and without objection, all members will have 5 legislators. This country needs to cut through the secrecy surrounding this issue. And many high-ranking individuals in the military and intelligence communities believe UAPs demand greater attention, and thus the purpose for this hearing today. Former National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster said on Bill Maher's program that, quote, there are phenomena that have been witnessed by multiple people that are just inexplicable by the science available to us. Army Colonel Carl Nell, a member of the federal government UAP task force, said at a conference this past May that non-human intelligence exists. Non-human intelligence has been interacting with humanity. This interaction is not new, and it's been ongoing, and there are unelected people in the government that are aware of that. But UAPs remain a controversial topic. I'm not going to name names, but there are certain individuals who didn't want this hearing to happen because they feared what might be disclosed. But we stood firm. No amount of outside pressure would ever keep me from pursuing a subject to ground, come hell or high water. On that score, I want to thank our witnesses for being here. We have before us a panel of individuals accomplished in the military.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is the JFK files. And one of the things that you said was that if they showed you what they showed me, this was your quote, you wouldn't want people to know it either.
So I opened them up partially. I was met with, from good people, good people. People that were well-meaning. Mike Pompeo was one of them. He's a good person. They called me. They said, "Sir, would rather have you not." And I did open them, but I was asked by some people not to open them. There's a Martin Luther King file too, by the way, that they'd like to see. I don't know if you know, but there is that. But JFK in particular. So they called me. A lot of good people called me. People that that you would find reasonable people. And they asked me not to do it, so I said, well, we'll close it for another time. But if I win, I'm going to open them up. I'm just going to open enough time.
Why didn't you open it up the first time?
Because
though?
a lot of times,
what was the hesitation, though?
Addresses, people that are still living. There are people that are affected. And there could be some national security reason that I don't have to necessarily know about. But some very good, talented people asked me not to do it. I opened it up, and then they said, would it be possible for us to do that a different day?
How much of it did you read into?
I think it's going to be just fine to open it. Let me put it that way. I think it's fine. It's going to be time. It's a cleansing. It's really a cleansing. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it immediately, almost immediately upon entering office.
Well, the thing, when people look at it from the outside and you sort of imagine what could be a reason why they would not release those files, it would be there's people that were implicated in the assassination.
Yeah. Well, when there are living people, you generally tend not to want to do it. When people are still living.
Living people that formerly worked for the government.
For the government, and living people that were somehow involved in it, and you tend not to do that. But it's time to open them. I can't tell you whether or not they're going to find anything of interest. And I did partially open. I think I've opened 50%, but I was asked not to do it, and I thought that was a reasonable ask. But now I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it very soon. There's a lot of interest in it.
One of the things that
there's a lot of interest in the people coming from space,
Yes.
And I know you're interested in that.
Oh, I'm very interested in that. How much did they tell you about that?
A lot.
Really?
Yeah.
What did they tell you? How much can you tell?
So
How's that work? Is it like super
I think
top
I
secret?
Can tell, you know.
Tell
I think,
me.
Well, based on Hunter Biden, I can say whatever the hell I
Yes.
want, right? But no. But I interviewed a few people. It's never been my thing, I have to be honest. I have never been a believer. I have people that Area 51 or whatever it is. I think it's the #1 tourist attraction in the whole country or something. Area 51 in Las Vegas. Do you know that, right?
Sure, I know what it is.
Told us, if you want a vision of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. I've shown you that this so-called New Age is in actuality a new satanic age. And it's not really new at all. It's very old indeed, it's ancient. Well, I need to tell you all something, and it's the most important thing I could ever say to you. In a little while, you'll know for certain that I'm putting my very life on the line and the safety of my family by sharing this with you. So I hope that buys me at least a few minutes of your precious time. If this video is taken down, it wasn't taken down by me, alright? Now I'm partly doing this to wash your blood off my hands, because God saved my life on a midnight highway. Now, don't worry about the quality of the video or the audio. It's strangers. No one cares. But still, I'm doing all this for my bandmates, work colleagues, parents, family members, strangers. No one cares. But still, I'm doing all this for one thing that comes at the end. Now, everything you're about to hear is a fact, and I'll prove it to you. I will leave no room for doubt. And nothing can stop what's coming. So this isn't a call for an uprising, boycott, protest. No. The Titanic is sinking, and it's unstoppable. All I'm going to do is point you to the life raft. And if you want to ignore me, then fine, proceed at your own peril. God knows I've tried. If you want to mock me, then at least share the video. Let others mock me too. Tell your friends. Check this. What type of people are the leaders of our countries and corporations? And the rich and the famous too. I mean, like, are they Christians? Do Christians run the world? Well, no, of course not. Buddhists? No. Do Muslims run the world? No. What about atheists? It's got to be atheists, right? Because we've come such a long way as a society, and atheism is the rational state of mind for the modern type of person, right? No. What about a mixture of people? Different types of people run the world. Let me tell you something. All the leaders from Africa to Europe to the Middle East, Israel, Syria, Iran, all the way to the Americas, all these people, and we'll get to the celebrities in a second. All the leaders from Africa to Europe to the Middle East, Israel, Syria, Iran, all the way to the Americas, all these people, and we'll get to the celebrities in a second. They're not atheists, Buddhists, or Muslims. No. What if I told you that they all belong to the same religion? A secret religion. One that none of them are allowed to talk about. Religion thinks of you and plans. I used to belong to it. And today I'm renouncing it publicly, breaking my oath of silence, which they and Freemasonry camouflages it very successfully. So it goes to anyone in the world right now. This bloke. And there he is, giving the sign of the hidden hand in front of the whole world. The Freemasonry. Binding myself under no less penalty than having my left breast torn open and my heart and vitals taken out, thrown over my left shoulder, should I willfully transgress any part of this my solemn oath. In this degree, the penalty is to have your whole body dissected, bowels removed and heart cut into pieces and thrown into a field where you are eaten by animals, all to protect the secret religion of the rich, powerful and famous. In the Knights Templar degree, the penalty is to have your head cut off. Listen to this: execute. Now this applies to all areas of industry. It's done through the ruining of your reputation by fellow Freemasons. by transferring his character wherever he may go, and by exposing him to the contempt of the whole fraternity, the secret society, and the world. Freemasonry. That's the founder of the Satanic Church. He admits that. Of perfect innocence and high intelligence is the most suitable sacrifice. Can you see and purest force, a male child of perfect innocence and high intelligence is the most suitable sacrifice? Can you see? This is who Jay-Z is quoting on his top. This. And this is the briefest way I can show you of the truth. Christ is mentioned everywhere, but not Jesus Christ. The inverted pentagram makes for the spelling of the word Mason in the same seal. Well, that same pentagram with the elongated top horns appears here in a European Union logo. An inverted satanic pentagram right in front of our eyes. Here's the European Union building architecturally mimicking the Tower of Babel. That was the very same tower that the God of the Bible destroyed thousands of years ago, according to the Bible, when Nimrod, one of the admitted founders of the original craft of Freemasonry, tried to unite the world under one world government. So this logo and this building design is a clear statement to the God who intervened the first attempt at a world government. This is England's Secret Service logo for MI5 with the word intelligence being symbolized by the... You know exactly who's in control. And now you know exactly what they want, and they will get it. In a 1962 article written by former US President and Freemason's wife, Edith Roosevelt, in the New Hampshire News, and speaking of the spiritual counterpart building for the United Nations, called the Temple of Understanding, she writes that the symbolism planned for the building dates back to the black magic practiced by the high priests of ancient Egypt, and that the building will contain a giant eye. You don't have to wonder why now, because you know why. This clothing designer is fully aware that the one-eye symbol is synonymous with Satan and a hatred of Jesus. Does this movie poster make any more sense to you now? Well, are you ready for the second biggest shock of all? Whatever you think of what you're about to see, please come see me on the other side of this so I can show you something. This clip only goes for a few minutes. And keep in mind, the only reason I'm showing you this to you is because the writer and director of the preview of this movie-style documentary was murdered, along with his wife and his little daughter. And he died. Why? After looking at the side of this...
And could it be the reason for his death? The scariest part of Grey State's conceptual trailer is this character here, who appears to be operating a guillotine. David Crowley was very intentional in this frame of the movie. He added something that I believe he wanted the people to know about. Who is the identity of this executioner? If you look closely, you will see that this terrifying character is wearing something around his waist. It appears to look like an organization behind Harry Truman's present radical revolutionary deity. The first.
When I was in high school, coming from a
led a revolt against the revolutionary agenda throughout the entire world because Harry Truman's president of the United States post-Civil War and its rebirth in 1950, Mason Grandmaster Andrew Jackson, the organization behind the Ku Klux Klan in the United States post-Civil War and its rebirth in 1915, the organization behind Hiroshima and Nagasaki during 33rd degree Freemason Harry Truman's presidency. These are men with a radical revolutionary agenda throughout the entire world because they worship and follow a radical revolutionary deity. The first to have led a revolt against the Most High Lord.
When I was in high school, coming from a completely non-Christian whatever, and proof that all of this is just clothing and accessories brand for the welcome to the real world. You ready? This is from a legislation archive from the Georgia House of Representatives in the 1995-96 sessions. This is Bill HB 12 enrolling George H.W. Bush by designed so to conceal some terrifying details on the inside. Firstly, 7 universal Noahide laws. They sound great from the outside, designed so to conceal some terrifying details on the inside. Firstly, they were signed into US law in 1991 by George H.W. Bush on March 26. Here's the bill and resolution. It was named Education Day. As you can see in the details of Resolution HJ 104, they are the 7 Noahide laws, resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in 1996. Every single president since H.W. Bush has annually re-signed this resolution. Many world leaders have called for the acknowledgement and observance of the 7 Noahide laws, including the President of the European Union in July 2014 and the Australian Governor-General Michael Jeffrey in 2008. And this will be international law. So what's the problem? Well, just for starters, the law against idol worship will include, quite specifically, the worship of Jesus Christ as the Son of God, which the Noahide laws will classify as blasphemy, and the punishment for transgressing the 7 Noahide laws and for blaspheming the ineffable name of God by calling Jesus God is decapitation. Like this, an international Sanhedrin. Who do you think displayed by this sinister and gloating looking individual? H.W. Bush, and here is their signature hidden in plain sight, the hidden hand of Freemasonry, displayed by this sinister and gloating looking individual. And you know, Freemason.
Last night I dreamt about how things were. And I woke up here.
I think of them often, and sometimes when I need his wife, daughter, and dog. Well, that's why the director was murdered. And his wife, daughter, and dog. Beautiful Christian family were brutally. Prophecy will be fulfilled. Listen to the words that come right after the execution by guillotine scripture in the Gospels. And I saw those who were such that they did not worship the beast, nor his image, and did not receive his mark of identification upon their forehead and hand. Remember this mark in the video? I'm not saying that the director knew what the mark would be, but based on the symbology, he knew who would be behind it. Look at the triangular symbol of the Freemasons. the Masonic triangle around the eye, and the Brotherhood of Saturn. Now look at the front cover of the book written by who represents the Baphomet. Solve, a new and higher form, marked as a form of identification, a new and higher form. Solve means dissolve or destroy, and coagula means to bring the elements back together into a new and higher form, a new and higher system. Jesus described it as the beast system, and one way or another, we will be marked as a form of identification in order to participate. But first, chaos must ensue. A deep Masonic truth, which is mostly true anyway, is that destruction precedes construction. New Age. That's why I know that the process which involves the creation of a new system create a table. The same principle applies to creating the New Age. That's why I know that the process which involves the creation of a new system must involve the destruction of this one. Now, this is the last referenced work I'm going to use to show you who will be the head of that system, that one world government. A book by David Spangler, considered as one of the founding fathers of the modern New Age. He also has an intimate relationship with the United Nations, as shown in 1975 document which was uploaded to the UN archives in 2006. Please pause to confirm that, where you can find his name listed under the Board of Directors for the Planetary Citizens Group. In his book, Reflections on the Christ, David honors the entity known as mainly what's required to learn his divinity, and Lucifer went with him. He writes that when this great project of evolution began, man went forth as consciousness to learn his divinity, and Lucifer went with him. It is important to see that Lucifer, described as an angel, a being, a great and mighty planetary consciousness. He says that, just like in Halloween and Trick or Treat, I will uplift you in the light and presence of the Christ. Christ meaning my outflow. Then Lucifer is the light that reveals to us the path to the Christ. Clarify that he was only joking once when he said maybe to enter the New Age we all need to take a Luciferic. The solar system was the manifestation. Mankind will be able to. The solar system was the manifestation of the consciousness of a very great being known as the Solar Logos. And if we go back to the secret society of the Brotherhood of Saturn, we read that mankind will be able to take a measure of egocentric power from the Solar Logos. In this way, Lucifer is the savior of humankind. They're about to reach their destination. Who shall? Overflowing in all areas of those who are steering society, and they're about to reach their destination. Who showed you? Who told you? Who warned you? Jesus Christ did. And replaced them with a superior species, a new species. No one is aware except for this one rat who's... In the animation Flushed Away, the villain Toad conspires to genocide all the rats in the Silver World and replace them with a superior species, a new species. No one is aware except for this one rat who's briefly seen in the beginning. He's a Christian rat, a nut job, carrying around a plaque, as some real-life Christians used to, warning everyone of the impending doom that is upon them. This ring, and he wears predicted it all, right all along. You can rest assured that that statement from the Gospels is true.